Welcome to the Weekend Bite presented by Wall Street Breakfast. I'm Leslie Osmond. China is up in arms following Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. Biden is scheduled to sign the CHIPS Act, boosting U.S. production of semiconductors. And are we in a recession or not? Economists and all sides of the spectrum have their opinions. Joining us today is the Winter Warrior, Seeking Alpha Marketplace author David Alton Clark, and U.S. Army veteran. Thank you so much for your service, David. It's great to have you.
Thanks. It's great to be here, Leslie.
I have to start off with the burning question. The economy shrinks for 2 consecutive quarters, and the last 10 times this has happened, the National Bureau of Economic Research and the U.S. government declared a recession. What do you think? Why or why hasn't the current state of the economy been declared in a recession?
Well, Leslie, I guess my main point as far as that goes is it really doesn't matter if someone calls it a recession or not. Things aren't going so great right now. It's really hard out there for the consumer. A lot of my friends and Main Street people are hurting right now. That's obvious, and I think that's really the deciding factor. Whether you decide to define it as 2 quarters of negative GDP or not, I think that's a moot point. I think everybody knows that we're in the middle of some hard times right now because of inflation and supply chain issues between the East and West.
And the stocks rallied after investors viewed the Fed's recent commentary about forward guidance as dovish. The last time the Fed tightened this aggressively was when Volcker was Fed chair and caused the recession. According to your notes, why do you think the Fed, as you state, hit the brakes sooner than expected?
Okay, well, I don't think they've actually hit the brakes just yet, and they were talking really tough this last week, and I expect them to continue that. My position is that inflation it has actually broken at this point in time. A lot of the commodities are down, oil is down, and when the next CPI number comes out, it's gonna prove that inflation is on the downside right now. But I don't think the Fed is going to be lightening up at all. They're still going to go strong for at least the next month or two to ensure that inflation's under control. And then at that point, they'll have to make a decision, and we will know better, where we are in the economy as well.
And I've read and you indicated that you consider the recent pullbacks as great buying opportunities. Give us some examples of what you consider a good buy or even an oversold opportunity.
Okay, one of my recent buys was AT&T. They actually dropped 10% on the earnings of this last earnings call that they had due to the fact that there's inflationary and recessionary costs hitting them right now. And a lot of the people, sold off, and but I feel it's a temporary issue. They did drop their guidance for free cash flow by 2 billion, but I see that as temporary. And they actually grew by 800 subscribers. So when the tide does turn, and it will, you're going to want to be long the market. And so I see this as a great opportunity. I'm kind of buying into positions when they fall after earnings right now. And, I'm in for the long run, the next 5 to 10 years. This is the first time in the cycle in 10 years that this opportunity has arisen. So I've been waiting quite a while for this. The last time I loaded up on stocks was in 2009, 2010.
So with Biden's latest CHIPS Act to stimulate production of U.S. semiconductors, and they've been quite resilient actually relative to the tech sector, what's your outlook for the chip and semiconductor industry? And are there any names that you feel are attractive?
Yes, actually, AMD was one of my top picks in 2013 when it was trading for $3.41. I went long AMD, and I held that for the past decade. It was actually up 2,000%. One of my biggest winners for the last decade. I actually sold out at 120 when the trend changed and it started falling back down from 150 in January of this year, and kind of waited to see how things were going to shake out. One of the things about the CHIPS Act that a lot of people have misconstrued is that it's only for manufacturers in the U.S. There's also $11 billion allocated in the CHIPS Act for designers as well, and that's why chip designers like AMD and NVIDIA also popped on the news. So I went long again, AMD, actually beforehand when it was at 80. So I've already got about a 20% gain. It fell back a little bit on earnings this last call a couple of days ago, about 4%, but it's pretty much gained that back. I really think they had great earnings in the current environment. I think they lost about 2% on the margin, and they've really gained a lot of market share from Intel. So AMD is my top pick. I also like NVIDIA, but I haven't gone long that yet. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen on earnings for them.
David Alton Clark, the Winter Warrior investor. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Leslie.
Up next, I have Weekend Bite host Daniel Snyder here for next week's Catalyst Watch. Take it away, Daniel.
Hey, Leslie. Thanks so much. Here are some notable items for investors and traders to look out for next week. On the economic data front, all eyes will be on our next CPI number released Wednesday morning. The street is expecting a slight moderation in the inflation number to 8.9% from 9.1% last reading. Thursday will be busy with the producer price index, and OPEC will release their monthly oil report on that day as well. Now, on the earnings front, Monday brings us Tyson Foods, Dominion Energy, and Take-Two Interactive. Tuesday, you'll see Coinbase and Wynn Resorts. And Wednesday, my previous employer, Disney, will be on the main focus. Obviously, I'll be watching that one as well. Thursday, we have Rivian, Cardinal Health, and U.S. Foods. And lastly, you have an ARK Invest webinar on Monday, which I think a lot of people are watching due to the risk asset rally in the market going on right now. And then you have the JP Morgan Auto Conference next week as well, with companies such as Ford presenting. And that wraps up your Catalyst Watch for next week. Leslie, back to you.
Thanks, Daniel. Lots of interesting stuff for next week. We look forward to tuning in next week. Have a great weekend.